number.
how to get hold of you, set up
Okay.
an
Okay,
appointment,
we're rolling.
just like a closing thing, yeah.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to another edition of our Sunday podcast. And I've been waiting all week, maybe 2 weeks, I think, because we had
I think it's 3.
Is it 3 weeks now? Okay. 3 weeks to get Lisa on. So I'd love to introduce Lisa Beaupre, Home Staging. She helped me with a project not so long ago, but she's very well known among real estate agents for her work. And I'm so glad you made the time to come on today.
Well, thank you for having me.
To tell us a little bit more about you. Now, we know very little about you. So my first question is going to be, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you originally from? And how did you get into home staging?
Right on. So I'm originally from New Brunswick, born and raised there, French, St. Leonard to be exact. Moved to Moncton years thereafter and studied a bit of background into decorating. There was not much activity. I was still very young at the time. Then I got a position in the sales of the insurance sales.
That's very different to what you're doing.
I know. Yeah. So I did quite well with that. Got promoted as a sales trainer, and this is how I ended up in Nova Scotia. I did 6 years for the Atlantic provinces as a sales trainer in the insurance business, which was quite interesting and rewarding. Learned a lot and grown a lot with that.
Working with people, I would imagine, is the
Yeah.
big takeaway from that
And
one.
training, the sales training was very interesting because we had people in that classroom from the age of 18 just starting, and
Yeah.
you had retired people.
Oh.
So you really had a different group of people from all over Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, PI. And it was, it was very rewarding. I did like that job.
Why Nova Scotia? How did your travels bring you here?
So this was probably the center of where they wanted to get this done, and where I was bilingual, it was less
Right.
expensive to get people to travel back and forth. They were a 3-week program kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I did that for quite a while, and then I also worked for a company called Cision. So I was always in sales and always in front of people.
Yeah.
And then my sister was in real estate with Exit in Moncton.
Okay.
And she was doing quite well. And then she sent me a message and she said, "Did you not know that I hire this woman to, organize the home?" She didn't even use the word staging at the time. She was
Yeah.
saying she just like fluffing up things and rearranging things. And I'm like, really? She says, "You should do that." And that's kind of where I went with it.
That's amazing.
I took a
Yeah.
certification, a course on it, and I just never looked back and just went in. Everybody thought I was crazy at the time because nobody was staging.
Yeah.
We're talking about 18 years ago now.
So that's really only been a more recent development in the grand scheme of things in real estate, where staging has become more of an imperative to set your properties apart from the competition. And it's one of the discussions. Actually, I was just chatting to Flynn before this.
Yes.
And we were saying sometimes discussing with clients, it's almost difficult to quantify that, to put it in terms that they can understand the return that they're going to get for the staging that they're going to do.
Exactly. It is, and it's all in how you explain to the client. So back in the day, people were open to that conversation. So they were mostly, all I was doing was consultations.
Yes.
Right? We'd go and we'd explain to the client certain ideas of what they could do, and it was helping.
Yeah.
But now we've gone to a whole different level of home staging where everybody wants the full meal deal.
Yeah.
And in my side of the business, I'm doing a lot of everything, consultations only, virtual consultations. We're doing owner occupied, which is a big part of our business.
Right.
And then we do the vacant, and then we do the show homes
Okay.
for our builders.
Any heavy lifting in that?
Was that a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of good lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always try to get my mind around that. There was one, it wasn't staged by you, it was one house we went into, and there were a whole lot of kids with us. And one of the boys was particularly rambunctious. He would be running from place to place. I'm thinking, don't knock anything over. He runs into the bedroom, and of course he jumps on the bed. The bed collapses because what they did was they had boxes and they had a mattress on top of the box. It wasn't a real bed. And of
We
course,
do that.
you do. Well,
We
these
do
are the
that.
hacks,
Yeah.
right? These are the hacks.
Once, yeah, no, we do that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you recently helped me with a project in Governor's Brook,
Yeah.
and thank you for that. That sold so quickly
It
after
went
that. It
well, yeah.
literally hit the market.
Yeah.
Mike, you did the pictures, so thank you for that. Appreciate that. So
Yeah.
it was that project. I think I sent them to you.
Oh yeah,
Turned
no, it went well.
turned out
And
really well.
you had the client was really open-minded too, which was
Yeah.
really good. She kind of gave us like
Good.
confidence that we could pull it off for her, and it went really well.
I think it goes both ways though, like you to have the receptive client and then also to have your explanation of that.
Right.
For me to say to somebody, home staging is important, we'll get your house sold sooner, they don't always take us at face value.
Right.
But to get you in there to explain the intricacies of it, that sometimes, when they can actually see that and form a picture of how that's going to work to their benefit from somebody who's experienced at doing it, that's where we can, work hand in hand with you as a home stager,
Right.
get you in for that initial consultation, and then from there, the homeowner can decide,
Right.
whether or not make an informed decision
Right.
based on the information that you've given them.
Right. I approach it, listen, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not, you're going into people's private homes.
Yeah.
And I get it totally, right? You have a different, there's variables in every
Yeah.
home. You can have a divorce case, you can have a death case, you can have two families amalgamating together, you can have, financially need to sell. There's all those aspects. Name them. There's so many of them, right? So you definitely have to come in with an approach of respect with the client. And when I go there, it's always, I go with no judgment. I don't
Yeah.
know the background enough. Sometimes we do have that information from the realtor coming in, but it's really about selling the house and helping them to simplify the whole process to make it as painlessly as possible. And the more they can do, it's pride and ownership, right? Some clients can only afford to elbow grease,
Sure.
and you're still ahead of the game than not doing anything,
Absolutely.
right? If you're selling your car, what are you going to do? You're going to make sure that it shines to the best, and you're
Yeah.
not going to leave Tim Horton cups and stuff like that, right? You're just going to make sure that it shines so that
Yeah.
it looks like it's well maintained and in good working conditions. So it's the same thing with a house, which is a little bit more intimate because that's where you live and sleep, right?
So Lisa, when you go into a home and you're working with people, you may have some background information, you might not. Usually as realtors, we don't share information about our clients, unless without their permission. But sometimes they will give you some information that maybe they're going through a divorce or there's something going on. What are the biggest challenges that you face when working with a situation like that?
People are like, I think I'm going to say this very clearly. When I was a single mom with my two kids and I had to sell, I was very nervous of having people in my house. I was very uncomfortable. I was financially at that time very strapped. It was very difficult. And I always used that. I always remind myself of going back to my own situation
Yes.
that many years ago. So when I go to clients, I really appreciate when the clients are able to be honest with me, and I will say, is this a happy move? Is this a sad? Like, share with me. And the more I know, the more I can work with them, right? And I will say, okay, it's a divorce case or whatever. And then you say, okay, I come with no judgment. I'm here for the simple purpose of getting this house sold. I'm not here to intimidate or make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm not here to judge on how you live, right? I'm really here to look at the house, on my own way that I've never seen before, and I'm not attached to the family or anything like that. And it kind of helps them, right? And then I'm a jokester. I just help
Good.
people. I'll say you got to mess it up to dress it up. It's normal, what else can we do? I'll pick up the phone and say, how are you doing? It's like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed with this room. I don't know what to do. Because I do give, if we're talking owner occupied, I do give them a to-do list, right?
Yeah.
I'll say, well, maybe if you can remove certain things so that, because what are we doing? People are going to buy the house. They're going to go online first. they need to look at those pictures, and that based on those pictures, we'll decide if they want to go in to look at the house, right?
Absolutely.
The pricing. So home staging alone, I always say, is not going to sell a house.
Yeah.
It's a whole combination of a group effort on the support of the realtor that believes in the staging, the client that's willing to put in the effort, and for us to put that. It's not just about, and that's the perception that I find that the difficulty is
Yes.
that they think that we're there to judge them, to
Yes.
make them feel uncomfortable, and it has to be all prim and proper.
Maybe we can change some opinions with this podcast.
Yes, let's do that.
It goes far more than the actual qualification that you have, because it's you're drawing in from life experience, and that's not something which everyone can bring to the table. It takes a lot of experience, a lot of time in the market. I mean, you'd make a good realtor. You know,
thank you.
when it comes to working with people, very often people don't see that part. Like with us, they say it's just selling a house. You know, what could possibly be involved? But it's one of the biggest transactions of most people's lives.
Huge.
And there's so much stress tied up in that. So anything we can do, you know, as home stagers or as realtors to try to take some of that pressure off them, that's absolute gold.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
put them at ease.
Yeah, I have a joy for working with people. I would say the best part of my job is that to work with clients and to get to them. I've cried with clients, I've laughed with
Yes.
clients, we joke with clients. Some of my best friends now have been clients. I've had clients that I've probably worked with them not only in staging, but then they come back and they say, "Can you help me place furniture for my new home?
Yeah.
Pick out colors." So we do, you know, go into different avenues, but that relationship has been formed. Some it's cold, and I'm okay. They don't
Sure.
want to evolve. They don't want to get too involved in the conversation more than what they need to do, and you got to respect that. I'm very fortunate to have a great group of ladies that work with me. I've had a few that came on board, and they did not understand the concept of what we're doing. You got to have a certain level of respect
Yeah.
when you're into people's home and touching their things and moving things along. Because a lot of times we kind of say, you know, once they've done their part, we come back, we ask them to leave for the afternoon, and we're touching everything, we're moving things around, putting
Yeah.
things aside. You got to have that confidence that we're going to treat.
Respect the property,
Respect the
absolutely.
property,
And
right.
sometimes if you're there and they're not on site, for them to have the peace of mind of having met you
And sometimes we
knowing
let
that you
them
can be there.
stay.
And sometimes they
Oh,
stay.
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But then you also do staging for a senior couple that they absolutely are not mobile enough to even declutter or move things around. Then we have to figure out, how do we do that? Do we hire a third party to do that part? And sometimes we'll get my girls, or we'll just say, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And if time permits, we will help them out that way. But it's so subjective, and it's so different for every job that you gotta go with it and just, I don't know, it doesn't bother me at all. I just love to know that people can transform and move forward.
Yes, and I think you being at ease and putting them at ease, that's just going to streamline the whole process and give them the trust in you that it's, you know, that it's in good hands. That brings me to the question I wanted to ask you at the beginning.
Okay,
we
let's go
were
there.
having so much fun with the other questions. I wanted to ask you, and this is for the benefit of realtors who maybe haven't done staging, or maybe realtors new to the business, to show them the value of staging. The first thing you do, I know, is the consultation. But what are all the phases that you take a client through? And you'll be working with the realtor, you'll be working with the client. Does it start at the consultation phase, or is there something before that that then goes through to staging at the end?
I like the conversation with the realtor to understand the timelines. All
Okay.
those things are very important. Like now it's the spring market, so it's extremely busy, and it's, I would say, one of my biggest challenges to balance the schedule to line up everything accordingly. But then, yes, you initially do that consultation with the client.
Yes.
I'll go in and I'll right away present myself and, you know, explain to them why we're going to be doing the things that we're doing. You need to do that, because if I just walk in there and say, put that away, that they're like, who are you? What are you doing here, right? But if you understand that, you know, decorating and home staging are in the same family. It's like a gardener and a landscaper. They're in the same family, but they kind of do it differently. So decorating, I'm more interested to know how you want to use the space and what your lifestyle is going to be, where staging is really pleasing to the mass, right?
Yeah.
How many people you, doesn't matter where they're from, age, all that good stuff. You want to really neutralize it and disconnect from the personal feel that you have on a daily basis. Then once they understand that, right? And it gets hard because people really hold long value to their belongings.
Sure.
It could be sentimental things. They could have pictures of a deceased person that they really
Yeah.
want to have. And you need to approach that very carefully, right? And saying,
Yeah.
okay, is this part of the sale of the house? And then they're like, no, but, and then I always say if we can do at least 50, 60% of the things that I advise, we're that much further
Right.
in the selling.
And that's nice almost, because if you're saying that to them, that's almost like saying we're willing to hear what you have to say.
Yeah,
You know, but the other 40% can be your input.
exactly. 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes there's non-negotiables. I
Right.
went to a house the other day and she said, I can't let you in my daughter's room. She's got some mental issues. She's
Okay.
very nervous about selling the house. I can't let you in there. What am I going to do? I'm going to respect that. And she took pictures. She sent them to me. So I guided her on what she can do. And that was the comfort level and was a respect.
Yeah.
It didn't look perfect. It doesn't have to look perfect. It's just got to be
Yeah.
presentable.
Thinking out the box to get some partial staging going on
Exactly.
in that room. So we chatted briefly before the interview about the future of home staging. One of the big things that I'm seeing at the moment is virtual staging, where they take an empty room or empty bedrooms, whatever, and then they run that through the AI and you have it staged digitally. Of course, it's a surprise when people get there and there's no furniture
There's
in
no
there,
furniture.
which for me is kind of feeling like, I'd really like people to see it staged, because your impact in person is as important as your impact in photos. Do you see bringing that technology into your business, or
We have talked about it.
yeah,
It's not that complicated to bring in. I'm not opposed to it. But and it's going to grow. I think it's less expensive. It does help the client visualize what you can do with the room. But in my experience in the last year, I have two situations where they originally went with the virtual staging and it was not selling.
Yeah.
And they turned around and spent the money to actually have it staged.
good to know.
One in particular, they sent me the picture of the virtual stage, and I looked at the house, and when I went to see it, there was no way that you actually could fit the furniture the way they did in the picture. So that would be a deceiving portion
Yeah.
of that, right?
Yeah,
It's only as good as the person that's doing the pictures too, or decorating virtually. So we're going to evolve. Things are going to change.
yeah,
But I'm not too concerned. I think that people are going to move, people are going to relocate, people are going to die. We're always going to be in this industry, no matter what. It's like real estate.
yeah.
You're,
It's
There's-
hard to replace the human element.
I want to bring the human element
Yeah.
back into this. That's what
Right.
I like about it, and that's how I feel when I'm doing business with people. I like to talk to you. I like to know you.
Yeah.
I like to have eye contact with you and get a feel. It's so much more beneficial to all of us. We're so techie
Yeah.
involved right now that I find that we're missing that human element to it.
That was my impression working with you, because getting busy with real estate, we like to use text messages. But
Yeah.
I noticed that when I texted you, you'd phone me back.
Right. I
And
do
it's kinda
text a
great.
lot because we are busy, but I do
Yeah.
like to talk because
Yeah.
sometimes we get lost in translation of what are we trying to do.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
And you wrap it up really quickly in a phone call, of course. You know, you just hash it out, find exactly what the client wants, move on, and then, take it from by text from there.
Exactly.
So that's fine. I did want to know, we mentioned some of the challenges, but what are some of the joys? If you can give us a case study of something really, really good that was really fulfilling in a project that you had.
There's so many, so many. I love helping the underdog. You go into a family and there's young kids and they're overwhelmed. They don't love the fact that they're like that, but they're just so embedded in their everyday life and the busy life. And I have quite a few where they're both working long hours. For them to even fathom being able to live in this format was
Yeah.
amazing, right? And then you're like, you know what, we got you under control.
Right.
And then they're open-minded, and then you just kind of work with them and you place everything, and they're like, oh my God, I never thought my house could look this good. And it sells like within 2 weeks, and they're just ecstatic, right? It's
Yeah.
just the most wonderful experience. I love it. I love it.
It is for us who don't have a background in interior design or staging or anything. I mean, even I'm neat, but I
Right.
wouldn't think to place things a certain way.
Right.
And to your point, some of the comments we get from clients after staging is, "Oh my God, is that even my house?"
Right. But you also have that concept that people say, oh, it looks too
Right.
cosmetically pretty. But I think it is helpful on both ends, on the buyer and the seller. The buyer, you set up an empty bedroom that is so small. A lot of times I will really recommend that we stage a small room because people have a hard time visualizing that it actually can be a bedroom.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden we put the bed, actually fit a nightstand. Sometimes we can fit a small little student desk or stuff like that. And they're like, oh, so the buyer can go in and say, oh yeah, my bed is that size. By looking at what we've put in,
Yes.
they can create their own imagination of what they can do with the room.
Yeah.
And for the seller, I always tell the client, the speed of sale is money in your pocket as well, right? It's an investment for me. Some clients, I've done jobs as well where there was only so much in the budget. The house superly needed cleaning and painting, and I'm like, if that's all you have in the budget, you might as well clean and paint.
Yeah.
And not stage it and leave it vacant, because that's what the bones of the house is what you're selling.
Yeah.
It's not the content that's in
Yeah.
there. And then we will guide them through that process, what color to choose and what to fix. And is
Okay.
it changing light fixtures? Just making a few little things. So every single job, I always say, is different.
So for your business, you mentioned you have ladies helping you. A
Yep.
group of ladies. No guys.
Sometimes some movers,
Sometimes some
when it gets too heavy carrying.
Painters. You got some painters helping
I
you.
have all kinds of trades that
Okay.
I can refer to people if they need to get all their light fixtures changed. I will send somebody in there for that.
Yeah.
I have a list long of painters. Yeah.
And that's actually one of the hidden benefits of home staging, because you'll go in and you'll have all these valuable contacts.
Yes.
And if you're being honest with them about this is what you can spend your
Right.
budget on, and you just put them in touch with the right people, takes the pressure off them, less stress all around.
I do, and some want to do it themselves. Some have, and I'm not attached. It's
Yeah.
just a tool that I have in my back pocket
Yeah.
to say, if you're stuck and you don't know, I may be able to help you and refer you to somebody. But the concept of understanding staging is mixed. There's so many levels to it. Some people get a consultation and say, my house was staged.
So then when you're not staging, how do you unwind in your free time?
Like to exercise, go for long walks. I have my own, since COVID, I have my own equipment downstairs for gym equipment,
You're not using it
meditation.
as a coat hanger?
No, I actually use my equipment as much as I can. I think that's my Zen thing. I like to cook. I learned how to make sourdough bread last year, so
that's
once a
really
week
good.
I make my own fresh loaf of bread for the family and for the kids.
That's where you do the whole aging thing. You have the bread and you got to leave
Yeah,
it for
I
a day or two
didn't
or
start
something.
do
and
the
you're not
starter
doing-
myself, but it's fun. It's yeah. I would spend a little bit more time in the kitchen if I had a little bit more.
A little more time stay. And you get to see a lot of kitchens, don't you?
I do.
Right.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can plan out your dream kitchen there.
We see a lot of beautiful homes out there.
Lisa, I want to thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
It took us a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks or
I
whatever,
know,
but we
I
finally
know.
did it. If people are looking for home staging, what is the best way for them to contact you?
My email address is beauprehomestyling@gmail.com, 902-880-9842. You can find me on Instagram. We do a lot of before and after pictures in there, which is kind of fun to see. And on Facebook as well, all under Beaupre Home Styling. So that's what it is.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Lisa. So there you have it, guys. Lisa Beaupre, coming on our podcast. We hope that you use her services. I can speak from personal experience. She's absolutely fantastic, great with the clients, and the end result is exceptional. So thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Till next time.
All right.
So we just cover that to take that. They have the consultation, and then when you go in, you demonstrate the value far better than I could or another realtor.
Right.
They need to see it through your eyes. They need to see that the value and what can be done for them.
Right.
So getting that consultation fee out of the way, I'm just thinking the person that's been calling you maybe hasn't been doing that.
Right.
So that might be what it is. You know, just to get in there and be in front of the actual client and have your...
I think the explanation that the realtor needs to bring, and maybe I think the timing for me is I am busy. I am not taking a lot of time one-on-one with the realtor to explain.
Yes.
Like if a realtor wants to get this done and have a stager in, that conversation of us two has to
Yes.
happen to understand the concept of what I'm going to bring in for that consultation. And
Yeah.
that's why my consultation fees are quite low compared to many. I don't always do the written consultation because you're gonna give them a 5-page report and they're
Yeah.
like, where do I start?
Oh, I get that.
Right?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, okay, we take pictures when we go in and we tell clients, we just do it for our own sake. And then we talk about, this is not about embarrassing the client. It's not about making you feel uncomfortable. This is about helping you getting your house sold, right? And I see things, it's all about balance. Oversaturated colors, what's going to happen is when you get your photographer come in, he's doing a wide lens, that red couch is going to pop so strongly that we're forgetting to look at the concept of the whole room. If
Right.
the art is hanging way up there, what's happening is the eyes are drawn there. We're forgetting about the setting. So it's a whole strategy that we have in terms of home stager of creating a balance of weight in the room or not having a chair that's blocking a closet door
Yeah.
that it's been comfortable for you because that's what you do every day. That chair is putting your dirty clothes or when you change, but we need to see that closet, right? So those are all little things. And then sometimes they have too much and they're intimidated by having me. And by the time we're done, they're like, oh, this is not as bad as what I thought. Because if I can repurpose the couch that's too big in that room and I'm like, oh shit, let's put it in the other room. It's actually going to fit there. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, really? I don't have to throw it out? I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah, works there.
Right? So when I say get this out or, we don't need this, I'm not saying it's no good, it's not nice, it's not this. It's just for the concept of trying to sell the house. Right? So don't take my advice and say that art, no, it's got to go. I'm not saying you have bad taste. I'm just saying for what we're doing here, this is what should happen. And it's kind of fun. I love it to go into somebody's home and I'll see a certain item by itself doesn't belong. And then I take it and I put it in a grouping and all of a sudden they're like, you use this. Oh, I love it.
It's like a
fun.
certain
Yeah.
satisfaction in getting it into the right position.
Yeah. And every home, sometimes we kind of select, like we go back to the warehouse and we're like, okay, well, let's bring this piece of art. Let's do this. Let's do that. And we get there and all of a sudden it even changes again, right? It's a fun concept. It's a fun concept, but it also works. The speed of sale is incredible, but it's a group effort. The realtor's got to believe in it. The owner's got to be on board, and I've never take the credit for the whole job because if the owner does not put the effort into preparing and putting stuff away, we can't do our job properly, right? So it's a whole team effort.
It's a real eye-opener for us about what exactly goes on behind the scenes, because as realtors, we sometimes we usually put you in touch with the client and then you take it from there.
Right.
One of the other questions I had, and this is potentially one of the biggest challenges, is once the home is staged, if they're still living there, I guess you're coaching them on how to continue living there while the
Right.
home is staged.
It is
challenges do you
challenging.
face, with that?
We try to tell them, try to keep everything the best you can the way we did it for the staging. But obviously, you have kids, you're gonna have to, because we put the toaster away, we
Yeah.
put your everyday stuff that you have on the counter. We don't want that on the countertop because what are you selling? The surface of the countertop. People want to see, is it in good shape?
Right.
You have too much stuff on there. We're not seeing that, right? Is it in sound condition? So I tell clients, do not refuse a viewing because you got your toaster on the
Yeah.
counter and you left for work.
Right.
People are human and we all have to do our own thing, but try to maintain as possible. Sometimes I propose that they have an empty bin, and when they know there's a viewing, they just grab everything that's just kicking around, put it in there and put
Sure.
it in a closet, and off they go. But we do packages of usually when we stage and we bring our own things. We can do a staging owner occupied with 0 rentals.
Yeah.
And if, like the example that we've talked before, there's dogs, there's cats, and there's no place to put them, sometimes I will decline bringing props. So we'll just basically work with what they have.
Yeah.
Maybe recommend they go buy a few items just to pull it together. And you're still getting a really great product at the end of the day. And then if we do rentals, we kind of say, okay, we'll leave them there for up to 30 days. If it sells and firms before 30, we reserve the right to come and get our items.
Right.
And we'll recommend the client to maybe vacuum our rugs if we brought in rugs and keep everything in sound condition for us, because they do go from one home to the next. And it's important that we keep our stuff in. But I have really, the clients are very respectful. Because
They are.
you're helping them sell that house.
It feels like the more we're chatting about this, the more questions I have. So I have one more question for you. When it comes to inventory, so do you have a sort of a warehouse where you keep all the stuff? How do you know you have enough inventory? What if it gets super busy and you don't have enough? Do you then go out and buy more? Like how do you
That's how-
keep a balance on all of that?
Very good question. That's one of the biggest challenge that I have as the owner. Yeah, we have a huge inventory,
Yeah.
but sometimes I'll call the realtor and say, is when I'll see that it's conditionally sold,
Yeah.
right? I'll say, when do you expect that it's going to firm? Just so that I know and can gauge what I can take next and next, because there's only so much you can do in terms of inventory. You can buy and buy and buy,
Yeah.
and where do you put it? So it is a little bit of a challenge for sure, but that's what I do every weekend. I sit down and I'm thinking, okay, this is coming back. I will have that dining room table for that house. And if
Yeah.
not, and I've already agreed to do the job, assuming that some of this inventory was coming back, and it doesn't, because you have how many times the sale of this falls through and
Yeah.
then you go back to the market. It's not a good idea to destage and take it all down if you have to go back, because
And
that's
do
going
it
to
again.
cost you more than leaving it in. And we do rentals on, after the first 30 days, we will offer weekly extension, bi-weekly
That's right.
extension.
Yeah.
So it doesn't put the client in, a bind to pay a
Yeah.
big lump sum. And if they say, I'll renew for a full month, and they sell within a week thereafter, we can prorate and go get, because I rather come and get my stuff back.
Absolutely, yeah. Then you can use it for the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
project.
yeah.
So the monthly rate, not to get into actual figures, would the monthly rate be more cost effective than going per week?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not
Okay.
necessarily. There's a few dollars here that
Yeah.
would be less if you paid the full month up front,
Yeah.
but no.
I've looked at your rates and your packages, and they seem very reasonable to me for what the user's getting.
Right.
They've got to see the logistics involved, bringing all the stuff in, taking all the stuff out, the planning behind it, the time spent.
Right.
And when you sort of try to work that back to a number of hours, you realize that the amount you're charging is pretty darn reasonable.
Right. Yeah, people do not see. They're like, oh, you
Yeah.
did that in 2 hours and you're charging me this.
Yeah.
But there was the consultation time. Then you
Yeah.
have to, sometimes there's an additional follow-up. I try to
Yeah.
avoid that if they do their work properly, prepare properly. But then there's like many times, an hour to 2 hours by the time we select everything,
Yeah.
load everything in the vehicle, go and deliver, put together. Then there's that time where we have to come back and pick it up, put it back in storage,
Right.
clean items, wash the towels, Like there's a huge, and then you have to pay your inventory, you have to
Yeah.
pay your delivery, you have to pay your administrating fee and the
Yeah.
assistants, and
And it's not just 2
is-
hours, it could be like 3 or 4 people for 2 hours.
exactly.
So you're paying hourly on that. And then afterwards, I guess you may have breakages and stains, and who knows what happens
There's
to
always
the
stuff
to
that
the
gets
items. Yeah.
damaged here and there, and the styles change
Yeah.
through the years. We keep some older stuff because you're going to stage a house of a realtor or a home, sorry, that has seniors that have been in the house for 50 years. They've never changed
Right.
anything. You're not going to, and the house and the bones of the house are really good.
Yeah.
You're going to use older stuff, but it's still going to look new to the listing.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I might hit you up for some of that equipment that you don't want anymore.
That's
Did we
funny.
answer everything with all of that?
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks, Mike. I think that's
Yeah.
everything.